more people getting vaccinated, some are still skeptical about getting out and returning to certain activities. Now on your side, Sierra Encinas sat down with a local expert who tells us what's safe and not safe to do.
After more than a year in the midst of a pandemic, nearly 39% of Pima County has been vaccinated against COVID-19. But still, some people are nervous to venture out again.
I think the fear comes from people wondering if we are going to ever get back to normal and what that new normal is.
Physician assistant Lisa Ritter owns Rescue Me Wellness in Tucson, and she says it's a good thing to weigh your risks in specific situations, like seeing an elderly loved one.
You yourself are vaccinated. You have to look at the age and the health of the people that you're going to be around. But if you continue to socially distance and wear a mask and pretty much abide by the CDC guidelines, Pima County Health Department guidelines, you should be safe.
But what about hitting the store masked and encountering people that aren't?
Vaccinated and in a mask, you're pretty safe. You being in that mask, you are actually protecting the people that are unmasked.
So what's not safe to do?
I would say it wouldn't be safe to be in a dense population of people, unvaccinated, unmasked. Things like a rally, a concert at this point in time, not knowing who's vaccinated, who's not vaccinated.
And if you want to know if you have antibodies after getting vaccinated, Ritter says people can get tested to find out.
It can basically look at two different antibodies, IgM and IgG. IgG will let us know if you do have circulating antibodies very specific to SARS-CoV-2. We can also order for you a total antibody test that can look at all the antibodies circulating in your system.
Sierra Encinas, KGUN 9 on your side.
This past Earth Day, Tucson Mayor Regina Romero pledged to install more electric vehicle chargers around the city. As Not on Your Side's Rogelio Mares reports, one apartment complex says it will be the first off-campus housing to do the same.
You won't find electric vehicle chargers everywhere, but that doesn't stop people from embracing the emerging technology.
I think it's fantastic that young people are now becoming more involved in the EV world.
Longley is one of those young people. He's a sophomore at the University of Arizona. He also lives at the Stone Avenue Standard Apartments.
They're bringing a charger here, so I'm so excited for that because I know now I don't have to go around to charge my car. I could literally just stay here and charge it.
It's the next place in the city where EV, or electric vehicle chargers, are being installed.
We've got chargers downtown at both campuses, U of A and Pima College.
Tip Carter also drives an EV, and he's a member of TIVA, or Tucson Electric Vehicle Association. It's a group of electric vehicle owners who are petitioning for the installation of more of these chargers.
Students don't have access to EV chargers because they don't live in single-family homes. They live either in dorms or student apartment communities like ours.
Oliver Swan is a managing member of this student apartment complex. Commercial customers like this complex can get a 75% rebate from Tucson Electric Power toward the purchase of these chargers.
So we wanted to reduce those barriers to EV ownership among students.
Carter says it's encouraging that the city is helping to install more chargers, but he says he'd like to see more of them in more places.
Apartment complexes, schools, shopping malls.
And Long agrees.
Eventually, I hope in the future, all gas stations become electric vehicle car.
Rogelio Mares, KGUN 9, on your side.
Let's get a check of the forecast with meteorologist Brian Brennan. And Brian, that wind just would not calm down today.
Yeah, you could almost have wind-powered vehicles today. So just get the sail out there. 40-mile-per-hour winds, gusts in Tucson, 39 in Nogales, 44 in Sierra Vista. We had wind advisories today, blowing dust advisories, and a red flag warning. That has all expired thanks to the winds starting to calm down a little bit, although a bit of a breeze still in Cochise County with a 17-mile-per-hour wind currently. 92 degrees was the high temperature today, so a good amount above what's normal for this time of year. But good news is tomorrow we are heading towards slightly cooler and closer to normal temperatures. And speaking of cooler, it's about 5 degrees cooler this night right now than it was 24 hours ago. It's currently 73 in Tucson, 64 in Nogales, and 64. So it's in Sierra Vista. So it is a cooler night. 81 at noon, 86 in the afternoon. Breezy, but not nearly as windy for your Monday tomorrow. We'll have more about how much hotter we're going to get after this one day of a break from the heat that's coming up in the full forecast.
Brian, thank you. A Tucsonan is doing her part to bridge the gender pay gap for professional cyclists. I spoke to the founder of the Homestretch Foundation, who is providing free housing for female professional athletes.
You know, Catherine is I feel like this understated hero in cycling. Like, she's done a lot of moving behind the scenes, and you have like the big names of cycling and whatnot, and they've helped carry that momentum, especially with the Tour de France and that movement there. But it takes someone to start, you know, the domino effect, right? And Catherine's been behind a lot of domino effects in women's cycling.
This is Catherine, founder of the Homestretch Foundation, a residence in Tucson that helps female professional athletes who struggle with the gender pay gap.
And for me, when I was racing as a professional athlete, I was in need of financial assistance because at the World Tour level of racing, women didn't earn a base salary that the men had.
For Catherine, that meant she had to carry 1 or 2 part-time jobs in addition to the full-time career of racing professionally.
I kept thinking, we need to change this system. We need to make sure that women at the World Tour level also have a base salary that's equal to men. And until we get that in place, wouldn't it be great if there were a residence where women could come and train for free while they pursue their pro cycling career?
Female athletes don't have to pay anything towards rent or utilities at the Tucson-based foundation, which helps in eliminating the need to have several jobs.
Catherine provides an awesome environment, just peaceful, and then obviously conducive to an athletic and professional athlete mindset, right? Of just like, you're here to focus on training.
Cycling for 10 years, Allison Arnsman is gearing up for some races slated to happen in June.
I love Tucson. It's great training, great topography. I do on-road and off-road training.
Allison is from North Carolina. She heard about Homestretch from a friend who stayed and trained here. So Allison applied, was accepted, moved in right before the pandemic hit, and plans on transitioning to her own place, planting some roots in the old Pueblo.
And that's also very indicative of the Tucson community. So many people love training here, basing themselves here, not just for our amazing topography and, you know, Mount Lemmon and all the wonderful aspects that we have to train here, but because of the community of Tucson.
Professional cyclists can apply online, and for that information, visit our website. All right, now the SpaceX Dragon capsule splashing down last night. The crew inside back on Earth for the first time in nearly half a year. After the break, a look at that return and what was accomplished on their historic mission. You're watching KGUT 9 on your side. A dramatic nighttime splashdown for the crew of the SpaceX Dragon capsule. ABC's Gio Benitez has a look at their mission and their return to Earth.
Overnight splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
We welcome you back to planet Earth and thanks for flying SpaceX. For those of you enrolled in our frequent flyer program, you have earned 68 million miles on this voyage.
Infrared cameras capturing the daring nighttime water landing of the SpaceX Crew Dragon Resilience. 4 astronauts on board, ending that historic nearly 6-month mission to the International Space Station. Recovery ships meeting the capsule at sea. This was the first nighttime splashdown for NASA since 1968, when the Apollo 8 mission returned after being NASA's first crewed mission to orbit the moon. With last night's go-ahead,
take one last look out the window.
The crew climbing into Resilience, separating from the ISS, enjoying one final meal in space. Mike Hopkins, Victor Glover, Shannon Walker, and Japan's Soichi Noguchi initially delayed on their return because of the weather.
Have a safe trip back home and the soft landings.
Commander Mike Hopkins, sleeping in the Dragon capsule, joking he needed to do some housekeeping before the crew could join him on board.
Clean up that bedroom. Your next bed is in Houston.
During their mission, the record-breaking crew conducting experiments, spacewalks, even growing plants. This historic trip, also Glover's first ever mission to space. He became the first black full-time staff member on the International Space Station.
And I looked out the window and saw the Earth from 250 miles up. I will never forget that moment. It wasn't about the view, it was how the view made me feel, and that every time I look out the window in the cupola, I still feel the same way. Earth is amazing.
Some incredible moments on this mission, and the work continues on the ISS. Crew 2 is in space right now, and they're going to be there until their own splashdown in just about 6 months. Gio Benitez, ABC News, New York.
And Brian, here on Earth in southern Arizona, the wind was once again the story of the day.
That's right, and it's a sign of changing weather. We're going to cool down tomorrow, but after that, high pressure builds in. We're heating up for the work week. We'll have that coming up.
A veteran is making a difference across America. He goes by Sergeant Push-Up, and he was in Tucson to get the word out about child hunger and doing push-ups for every meal sponsored for kids.
So I started with this a couple of years ago. I saw that people were always complaining about one another, and I got tired of that. I said, we have 13 million children that go to bed every night without anything to eat. Why are we complaining with one another? Let's do something. So I took massive action. I sold my Mustang. I started walking. A Vietnam War veteran saw what I was doing, and he's like, you sold that beautiful Mustang to feed kids, but you don't have children. I said, everybody's child across America is my child, and here we are, 365,000 plus meals later.
He is also doing reps for every copy of his activity book sold. It's called Sergeant Push-Up Talks to the Kids About Germs. He's now making his way to Las Vegas, then to the West Coast. A great story and a great cause, Brian.
Now, your first warning weather with meteorologist Brian Brennan.
It's great and a great exercise, too. I do several push-ups. I'm just kidding. Not as many as Sergeant Push-Up. 92 degrees was the high temperature today. 87 in Nogales, 84 in Sierra Vista, 84 in Douglas. It was a warm day today. It's cooling off, though, thanks to the winds. That's really in part because of a system passing by to the north of us. It's 5 to 6 degrees cooler in Tucson than it was 24 hours ago. 7 degrees cooler in Nogales. The winds have finally let up a little bit, although still a little bit breezy in Cochise County. It's currently nice, 73 in Tucson, 64 in Nogales, and 64 in Sierra Vista. So nice and cool if you're hanging out outside right now before going to bed. 76 in El Paso, pretty mild across the southwest, 73 in Las Vegas, although cooler up and down the west coast, 53 in Seattle. They're having nice temperatures as far as Oklahoma and Kansas goes, but not nice weather at this hour. You can see a very severe system. It looks like severe thunderstorms very possible there when you get this convective complex of storms. It's a telltale signature, although it is running into more stable air. So by the time the system gets to Wichita, likely seeing some of the steam letting out. No current watches or warnings at this hour, although about 30 minutes ago there were severe thunderstorm warnings in that area west of Wichita. As we move to the west, further away from that squall line, we're looking at just kind of showery activity around the Four Corners region, dipping slightly into northern Arizona, but as far as southern Arizona goes and even central Arizona goes, bone dry, which is one of the reasons why we had a red flag warning in effect today in combination with those strong winds. It's going to be dry and breezy again tomorrow, but not quite as windy at all. We'll see winds up around 20 miles per hour and then really calming down after that system pulls away. So tomorrow in the afternoon, we might see a few showers happening up in the White Mountains, but otherwise, again, dry to the south of the White Mountains. And that pushes away after Monday, and we're just going to start seeing high pressure building in. And as you know, this time of year, high pressure builds in and the temperatures start going up. Overnight tonight, nice and cool, 52 in Sierra Vista, 50 in Nogales, dropping into the low 60s in the metro area. On the way into work tomorrow, it'll be quickly warming up to about 80 at noon, but then right around what's normal for this time of year, 86 degrees forecasted for the airport, and upper 70s in the in Cochise County, 80 in Nogales, and mid 80s expected across Tucson. So high pressure again starts building, that ridge increases, and we start to see the temperatures bouncing up. By Tuesday, Wednesday, we're above average again. And then by Thursday, we could be talking about our potential first 100-degree day of the year. But I'm going with 99, so I think at the airport we might not do it, but other spots in the metro area very likely could hit that triple-digit mark. And after we do, we'll still be in the 90s for next weekend. Tasha.
All right, Brian, thank you. Now, how do you feel about booking a trip to space? Because in a few days, you can start buying tickets through Blue Origin. The company says it'll post new details on Wednesday about how people can sign up for a ride to the edge of space. It plans to send passengers